Guys, if you currently have a car payment, I want you to make a decision today. Make a commitment that from this point forward, you're never going to finance another car again for the rest of your life. And I'm being completely serious about that. Car payments have become one of the most normalized wealth-destroying habits in America. And if we're being honest, a lot of people watching this video probably have one right now. But I'm telling you, you don't want a car payment. Not next year, not after the one you currently have ends, and ideally, not ever again. I've been working personal finance for a long time, and I've had conversations with a lot of people about their money. And these aren't people earning minimum wage. They have decent salaries, stable jobs, and solid careers. Yet somehow, every month, they still feel broke. They create budgets, they try to save money, and some even invest a little bit. But they still feel like they're stuck and not making real progress. And one thing shows up again and again when you look at their numbers. They've got $500, $600, $700 or more coming out of their paycheck every single month just to pay for a car. That same car that's sitting in their driveway right now as we speak. Think about the numbers for a moment. The average price of a new car in the United States is now somewhere between $48,000 to $49,000. The average monthly payment on a new car is approaching $800 a month. Even used car payments now average well over $500 a month. And people aren't just financing for 4 years anymore. A lot of these loans stretch 6, 7, even 8 years. That means you're committing to one of the largest monthly payments in your life for something that's guaranteed to lose the value the entire time you own it. Guys, a car payment today isn't just a purchase. It's more like a subscription. When you sign up for a car payment, you're essentially agreeing to send money out every month for something that steadily declines in value. It's almost like saying, where can I send hundreds of dollars every month and slowly lose that money over time? That's essentially the arrangement people are signing up for. So guys, maybe you can help me understand something. I've read a ton of Reddit articles and things online about people saying, whether you should have car payments or not, whether they should be high priced or not. And overwhelmingly, I always found that people said it's always best if you have no car payment or if it's a very small one at the very least. So that leads me to an obvious question. If most people already understand that big car payments are bad for their finances, then why do we still keep doing it? What happens psychologically where we know something isn't good for our money, but we go ahead and sign the loan anyway? I'd really like to hear about your thoughts in the comments below. And with that being said, let me give you another piece of data to think about too. Right now, more than 100 million Americans have an active auto loan. Total auto loan debt in the United States is around $1.5 trillion. That's an enormous amount of money tied up in just vehicles. So, if the majority of people say that they'd rather not have car payments, then why does the country still owe $1.5 trillion just on cars? And also that said, here's something important to understand about how car buying actually works. When you finance a vehicle, you're not just buying the car, you're buying the monthly payment. And the dealerships understand that extremely well. When you walk into a dealership, they aren't just focused on selling you a vehicle. A large part of their business revolves around financing. In many cases, the profit from the financing side of the deal is just as important, sometimes even more important than the markup on the car itself. The interest collected over 5, 6, or 7 years of car payments can add up to a significant amount of money. That's why the financing process is such a big part of the dealership experience. Think about it like this. McDonald's sells hamburgers, right? But McDonald's real business is commercial real estate. They own a massive amount of the land where their restaurants operate. So McDonald's is essentially a real estate company that also sells burgers. In a similar way, many car dealerships operate like finance companies that also sell vehicles. That's why when you walk into a dealership, one of the first questions they often ask isn't about the total price of the car. Instead, they ask something like, what monthly payment are you trying to stay around? And once the conversation focuses on the monthly payment, the total price of the car becomes less important in your mind. That's the psychological shift that they're looking to persuade you with. And I'll mention this, financing separates you from the real pain of spending money. $40,000 feels like a huge amount of money to most people, but $700 a month sounds way more manageable, doesn't it? So instead of thinking about the full cost of the vehicle, people start asking themselves whether they can afford that $700 payment. If you had to walk into a dealership and hand someone $40,000 cash, you'd probably think very differently about buying that car, wouldn't you? But when the cost is broken down into monthly payments, it feels easier to accept. That's why dealerships keep the conversation centered around the payment. It's a similar kind of psychology where if you go to the store and you try to buy a candy for $2, they actually mark it at $1.99 because that $1 that you see first is really what captivates your mind. The 99 cents doesn't really even flood your mind anymore. But with all of that being said, guys, here's the truth. Cash makes you cautious. Payments make spending feel comfortable. It's the same psychological principle that credit cards rely on. And this is exactly where people get trapped, and so I make these types of videos to help you snap out of that reality. Now, guys, before I continue any further in this video, if you feel that you are gaining value from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could smash that like button, hit the subscribe, and comment down below. Your love really helps this channel grow, so I'd really appreciate it if you could smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below. Now, let's go ahead and get back to the video. So, there's another major reason that you want to avoid car payments, and that's depreciation. A car is not an investment. In fact, financially speaking, it's usually one of the worst purchases that people can make. The moment you buy a vehicle, it starts losing value immediately. Every day, every week, every month, the value continues to drop. But your payment stays exactly the same. You're still spending the same amount of money every month, even though the car itself is worth less and less. That means that you're paying for an asset that is steadily declining in value, but yet you're not really getting anything in return besides a car that is getting older too. Sometimes people even end up owing more on the loan than the car is actually worth. That's what I call terrible debt. And the monthly payment is only the beginning. Insurance costs go up. Registration and taxes come due. You have fuel, tires, maintenance, and repairs. The car payment is basically just the cover charge. Sure, it gets you in the door, but the real expenses start after that. Now look, if you currently have a car payment, I want to be clear about something. I'm not judging you and I'm not criticizing you. We've all made financial decisions that we wish we could redo, including myself. But what you don't want to do is make car payments a permanent part of your life. That's why I'm making this video. At some point, it's worth seriously considering breaking that cycle. Now, some people will say, what about leasing? I like leasing because I can drive a nice, reliable car for a few $100s a month. But guys, leasing isn't really a smarter option. Leasing is just basically a permanent car payment. When you lease a vehicle, you're essentially just renting it. Renting something for a short period of time might make sense in certain situations, but you don't want to build your entire lifestyle around renting everything. When you lease a car, you never actually own it. You deal with the mileage limits, potential penalties, and every few years, the payment cycle simply starts over again, maybe even with a new car. But at least with a loan, the payments eventually will end. With leasing, the payments actually just keep restarting. Now guys, over the years, I've helped a lot of friends, family, and just people in general buy used cars. And one of the things I've noticed is that many people buy cars when they are completely unprepared. Their car breaks down on Friday, they need to get to work by Monday, and now they're scrambling to find something quickly over the weekend. When you're under pressure and your emotions are high, it's easy to make mistakes. But the first step is believing that buying a car with cash is actually possible. A lot of people could do it with some planning, but they never even considered the idea because they've been conditioned to think that car payments are just a normal part of life. But guys, they're not normal, they're just common. There's a significant difference there. A car payment isn't really a necessity. It's a financial habit, and habits can be changed. I broke that habit just about 10 years ago, and I'm never going back. I will never have another car payment again. A lot of people aren't struggling financially because they don't make enough money. Sometimes it's simply the habits and the assumptions that we've normalized that keep us stuck living paycheck to paycheck. If you want to break the cycle of car payments, it starts with a plan. For example, imagine saving $500 a month for the next 18 months. If you did that consistently, you'd have about $9,000 saved. That might sound difficult for some people, but if you want different results, you might have to do something different. Maybe that means working a second job temporarily or cutting back in those other areas. But once you have that $9,000 saved, you can buy a reliable used car with cash. It might be older, sure, and it might have higher mileage, but solid vehicles in that price range still exist if you know what you're looking for. Then, from there, you keep saving. Save another $500 a month for 12 more months. Now you've built another $6,000. And at that point, your $9,000 car might be worth around $7,000, but you sell it for $7,000 and combine it with the $6,000 that you saved earlier. Now you have $13,000 for the next car. And you're only about 30 months into that process. Your $13,000 car might sell for $12,000 or $11,000. You add that extra $3,600 that you saved to that total amount sold, and now you might have $15,000 or $16,000 for the next vehicle. So in roughly about 3.5 years, guys, you've already upgraded your transportation twice without taking on additional debt. When people hear a plan like that, their first reaction is to immediately look for reasons why it won't work. They start thinking about every single obstacle before even trying. But if you want different financial results, sometimes you have to start thinking differently. If you're someone who buys your cars with cash, just do me a favor and drop a comment down below. I want people to see that this isn't some unrealistic idea. Real people do this every single day. And I'll just mention, a lot of car purchases are actually driven by identity. People want to look a certain way or feel a certain way when they're driving. For other people, the concern is safety. They assume a newer car automatically means a safer car. But the truth is, you can find a solid, reliable, safe, used car for $9,000 or $10,000. You don't need to spend $25,000 or $30,000 or more to be on the safe side. It might take longer, sure, to find the right vehicle, but it can absolutely be done. And while you're saving and planning, it may be worth learning a little more about cars in the first place. I'm not saying that you need to become a mechanic by any means, but even a small amount of knowledge can make a huge difference. I'll ask you this, have you ever noticed that mechanics rarely drive brand new cars? That's because most mechanics drive older cars that run well. They know how to identify cars that will last. That's the point. A little knowledge can help you avoid lemons and choose better vehicles. Listen, guys, one decision, ending the cycle of car payments, can make a huge difference in your financial life. Car payments don't have to be normal. They don't have to be a part of your story. Guys, I appreciate you watching this video all the way through. If you got value from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe. And please share this video with someone that you know that may be considering buying a car or that just recently bought a car, and show how this can affect their lives. Just remember, guys, work hard now so that you don't have to work hard later. Please take care of yourself, take care of others, and I'll see you guys in the next video.